And when I was born, I think I've mentioned this before, but when I was born at 2 pounds 2 ounces, and prematurely. My father had rather severely beaten my mother, and that's what caused that, while he was trying to get involved with black magic rituals. But throughout all of my early years, I had been with him quite a bit, off and on, and then, of course, there was the major trauma of the divorce from my mother, and then the bigamous marriage with Sarah. But in early 1952, I went from Bremerton, Washington, drove down and started living with my father on a continuous basis. My very first connection with Dianetics or Scientology, of course, with my father mentioning about the book Dianetics and about the article in Astounding Science Fiction, and then, of course, the book. In 1950, I was living in Bremerton, Washington, and he arranged for my auditing, my very first auditing. My very first auditing was rather strange because he had arranged it through the Seattle Dianetic group for me to commute from Bremerton over there. But he told me told me two things. One was he wanted me audited, and I had to be audited under an assumed name. He didn't want me to disclose who I was. And then he also told the auditors that he only wanted them to concentrate on my mother because he didn't want me to disclose anything about him. And I thought that was sort of interesting. I kept that up for a couple of weeks, and I got tired of not being able to tell anybody who I was. I mean, how can one be audited dianetically or remember incidents in your past when you had to completely edit and delete anything concerning your father, concentrate on your mother, and at the same time not disclose who you were? You have to be, you know. I mean, I wasn't very old at the time. I was 16, but I had enough brains to figure out that that was pretty confusing. Then I arrived in Phoenix, Arizona in early '52. He had just arrived from Wichita with Mary Sue. And the very first day I arrived, he wanted me audited immediately, but I had been driven all night. And I am 18 years old. I knew nothing about Scientology. All I had read was Dianetics, Modern Science and Mental Health. It never really interested me very much as a book when I was young. And so after about a couple of weeks there, we got involved in he asked me to sit down on the couch, and I was high on Benzedrine, on bennies, and we started doing, quote, research on a book called History of Man. So we spent a couple, 3 days on that. Here's the book here, the Scientology, A History of Man. Here's a copy of it. And all of the incidents, he did a few with Mary Sue, but the majority of incidents in it were off the top of my head, as I had upwards of 20, 30 milligrams of bennies in me.
It's a very small book for the history of man.
Yes.
How many pages?
And this is, but the thing about this interesting thing about the book is that this is purported to be, it is presented as, these are incidents which are common to everybody's past. This is the PR output. This is the thrust of the book, is that these are early genetic incidents in the ancient primordial past of each and every man, woman, and child on Earth. And they came out of my drug trip. And I don't know how many thousands of people have been audited on those particular incidents, like return to the clam. That is where genetically you were a clam and you're having jaw trouble, and that was one of the bases of, according to Scientology, my father, that's one of the bases of bad teeth, having trouble with your jaws because you were having an engram as a clam 50 trillion years ago. But
that may be considered to be religious and judged primarily on faith, and we'd really not want to pursue that. I'd like to ask you one more. Let's get back to the E-meter.
One quick thing, sir, I wanted to mention was that the areas I'm talking about in the 50s, it was not a religion then. We're talking about, that didn't come in as a corporation until December 1953. Up through 1950 through 53, it was a science. And so that's what I'm referring to here, and I'm not getting into the area of beliefs anyway, as far as I personally am concerned.
I realize it's a very fine line for us up here, too.
Well, the book was written in 52.
And the book was written, thank you, Ms. Garvey, in 52. Now, back to the E-meter. Did the U.S. National Bureau of Standards describe the E-meter as worthless as a diagnostic service?
Yes, the FDA were concerned with the E-meter because it was being used as a diagnostic tool, which, in fact, was true. I mean, an actual practice.
The people that normally take these courses, are they the average run-of-the-mill person you see in the street, or are they there because they're looking for help? I have read where the auditing can cure arthritis and leukemia. I've also read where your father cured a 18-month-old child, I believe it was a girl, of leukemia.
That's
Is that
correct.
possible? Do you think that your father has those powers?
I'm sorry, what was
Do you
the
think your father has those powers, or is that a hoax?
No, but those are claims. And
Tell me about those claims, sir.
well, first of all, leukemia is cancer, and according to my father, that all cancer stems from the second dynamic. The second dynamic in Scientology is sex. His logic, his leap of logic was, at the time that he was talking about leukemia and cancer, is that cancer is cells which are dividing, and dividing of cells is a sexual thing, and as in prenatal activity or conception. And so therefore the basis of all cancer is sex. If you're having big bad problems with sex in early childhood or something like that, and this is what's causing your cancer. And
what about it being a celibate? If you're a celibate, would that eliminate the possibility of having cancer?
Well, that could also cause cancer because of your lack of sexual activity.
I guess there's no way you can win.
That's correct. And then, of course, compulsive sex or too much sex or something like that could cause cancer too.
Was your father preoccupied with sex?
Very much so. Wow, yes.